so rejoining us, it's still Mixed Grill on OSRC television. Earlier on, I said our major focus today will be on flood as it's ravaging the nation. The first aspect of it, we'll be looking at it from the engineering point of view. We'll be looking at the topic, flood water and drinking water, a nation at risk. But as floods are not just washing away homes; they are silently polluting our drinking water. As floodwaters submerge boreholes, wells, and water tanks, diseases like cholera, like typhoid, dysentery are making a deadly comeback. Today on Miss Gray will ask, how safe is our drinking water in the wake of these floods? And what can families do? What are governments and health officials doing, or what are they failing to do? All of these are what we'll be looking at on the program today. But let me quickly take you through some of the statistics we have. We have about, when we talk about lives that have been lost to flood, 314 deaths, especially 90% in the north, 100 missing, according to reports, post-report from Mokwa. The displacement is also there, about 3,000 to 6,400 plus in Mokwa and Jeba flood. Kayode, when we talk about homes and building, how many people has happened in that area?
Ẹjẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ wo nǹkan tá a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí ní àárọ̀ yìí. Ìyẹn ìkún omi àti wíwọ́ dúkìá àti oko wa tó fi mú wọn lọ. Bí ẹgbẹ̀rún kan oko ló ti parẹ́ nínú eléyìí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. Ẹ̀mí tó dẹ̀ ti lọ ńbẹ̀ ó lé lénírínwó. Àwọn ohun àlùmọ́ọ́nì ohun tí oníkálùkù ní tó fi ń ṣe ẹ̀yẹ fún ara rẹ̀ tí ó ti parẹ́ á lé ní ọgọ́rùn-ún mẹ́ta. Ìgbà mẹ́ta lóríṣiríṣi ọ̀nà. Àwọn kan tí ó ti bàjẹ́ tí ìkún omi tá a bá tó wá sọ̀rọ̀ nípa oko tí ó ti sọnù ó lé méje ní ọgọ́rùn-ún tí oko tí ó ti parẹ́ ṣé kìí ṣe ibi ló ń bọ̀ yóò pàpà làǹsà. Àti wípé kí ni ìbójútó ìjọba, kí ló yẹ káwa èèyàn ṣe, àwọn onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ kí ni ìmọ̀ràn wọn lórí àwọn nǹkan tó ń kọ́ni tó sì ń ṣẹ̀wò mọ́ni lára. Gbogbo nǹkan wọ̀nyí ni a fẹnu tó lórí ètò lónìí. Amójú ẹ̀rọ ó wà bí.
It's right here, but when you also look at homes and buildings, about 3,000 homes, schools, and health centers have been destroyed. When you also look at the area of food security, Nigeria, especially Nigeria, 32 million people are facing hunger. Food prices have risen quite a lot for us today.
Lórí pé ìkún omi mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan ebi èrè yìí
ebi ó wọlé ó kálẹ̀kùn.
Gẹ́gẹ́ yé tilẹ̀ yìí security èsì téèyàn bá wọlé tó lọ sùn kò mọ̀ bóyá omi ó kà mọ́lé ẹ̀mí sọnù oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ni kíni ó ti wá di pé àìláṣọ ọlọ́run pàràkà ni ó ti tó àpérò báyìí fọmọ ẹni wò.
And let's look at the health risk as well. And that's why I'm happy that we'll also be bringing a doctor to the house today that will shed more light on this when it comes to health. I mentioned earlier the issue of cholera, we have malaria, malnutrition, and diarrhea spreading across states. This is really an issue. My anger is that apart from what government is doing, what we are doing as individuals that is increasing the rate of flood in Nigeria is also an issue which we'll also talk about.
And the missing, how people are missing.
Yes.
Because of flood. People are missing. It's amazing that you went home, you sleep in your house, and in the morning you wake up and discover that about 3,000 in your town, according to the statistics, are missing. In Mokwa Jeba. How could people explain what a bitter experience?
Very bitter experience. And let's look at, before we bring in our guests, I also want us to look at let's look at the analysis and the insight, especially when it comes to concentration of impact. Fatalities and displacement are heavily concentrated in the northern states due to climate change induced wetter seasons and dam mismanagement.
àròjinlẹ̀ ni tí a bá wo wàhálà tó kó bá àwọn ará òkè ọ̀yà lọ ẹ ṣe wọ́n tẹ̀ mí pé kó bá bojú gbà ẹni a máa jówe fún ni ṣé kò ń bọ̀ ń sàlẹ̀ báyìí Yorùbá sì ní pé ń bọ̀ àwọn là ń dẹ́ dì gbogbo nǹkan tí àgbélẹ̀kọ olóòtú wa yìí ó múni lọ́kàn kirikiri ó sì jẹ́ òdodo ọ̀rọ̀ tí ó ti dà pẹ̀lú fún gbogbo wa láàárọ̀ yìí.
And despite the available funding, the lack of implementation in flood control and dam maintenance remains a systemic problem. However, in Ondo State, Ondo State is showing leadership with executed dredging, stakeholder mobilization, and early warning alignment. To achieve lasting resilience, the focus must shift to consistent infrastructure upkeep, transparent fund usage, grassroots engagements, and climate resilient planning. All of this are some of the things I also know that our guest who will be bringing on this morning will also talk about. That's in person of engineer Ezekiel OLORUNTOla. He is a former area manager, Benin Owena River Basin Authority. We're glad to have you in the studio with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Victor.
Onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ Ezekiel Ọlọ́run ṣe kí ni?
OLORUNTOla. Good name. Okay, let's look at you thank God you're seated while we talk about
tí a bá wá wo àrà tí gómìnà Ayédàtiwa náà ti dá nínú pé gbogbo àwọn àgbàrá wa ní gbogbo ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ méjìdínlógún tó wà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ó tó ń tà ṣe sàǹdà fún gómìnà wa tí wọ́n tẹ̀ tí rí náà la bóyá tí irú ẹ̀ ọ̀bá ẹ̀ tí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ sẹ́yìn wọ́n tún kó ojú omi àwọn àgbàrá wa nípínlẹ̀ Ondo yìí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká bí ọkọ bá ṣiṣẹ́ ó yẹ ká há lẹ́nu ẹ jẹ́ ká pé wọ́n kò ṣẹ́ bóyá wò ká tẹ̀síwájú.
Kí ojú wo lẹ́yìn fi wò ọ̀rọ̀ flooding tó gba yìí kan yẹ jábẹ̀ láti bẹ̀. Can you share your thesis with us on this?
Well, thank you very much. Inú mi dùn sí ọwọ́ tẹ bá wọlé láàrin ẹ̀mọ́ sí ìgbò náà bóyá kí èmi náà padà sí lẹ́yìn bí dókítà sì pé ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́ òun what is actually flooding. Flooding occurs when water overflows is part. Water normally have its own part. Bóyá river channel or the drainage strategy. But when this water overflows the pattern, runs over to normally a dry place, flood has occurred. And this will occur because we have rains. Rains will always come. It's a natural thing. And when it comes, by the time rains come and start settling down, let me take it this way again. At this time, water, the whole earth surface is oversaturated. tó ń bá ti kọ́kọ́ rọ̀ ṣe ń pẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ fàámu tó bá wá yá àwa ọba saturated òjò míì tó bá ń rọ̀ kò ráyè wọlé mọ́ òkè ló máa wá sí all this now contribute to flooding. Tẹ́lẹ̀ mọ́ pé ní wa bá a ṣe kọ oníkálukú we have our own means of disposing our runoff. That's rains from water that comes from the rain. Your own drainage and my own drainage contributes and flows into the rivers around. And this one, when they contribute, ṣé mọ̀ pé bó ṣe ń kú sí náà lómi ẹ̀ á máa kú sí kò sí bí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ flooding tí ó fi ní ṣẹlẹ̀. So ìyẹn jẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ fi introduction to what flooding is actually is. I'm happy, like you said, in Ondo State, God is on our side, and He has given us a good leader. Our governor, Dr. Lucky Ayédàtiwa, is doing wonderfully well. Ìyẹn náà pè ní proactive measures. He's doing that. Ẹ̀rí pé gbogbo àwọn river courses wa, they will take the boogie excavator. Ìyẹn wọ́n máa ń pè kò sí bómi yẹn ṣe tó kò lè wọlẹ̀. Tí ìjọba bá lè ronú kan ra rú àwọn equipment yẹn wí pé ìjọba tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ aráàlú ni. So wọ́n á kó yẹn síta. Kó tó di pé àwọn rí ìfẹ́ tàwọn flood yẹn, wọ́n á kọ́kọ́ wọ gbogbo ojú odò yẹn kúrò kí omi yẹn kó ráyè kó máa ṣàn dáadáa ìyẹn ti bẹ̀. Then the causes, kí ló tẹ̀ wá ń fa flooding gan. I have said it the other time that rain causes it. That's the thing. Kì í ṣe orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àti ní flooding. Recently, I was aware, even in Texas in America,
all over.
ó pọ̀. So, we told you about, we are expecting flood. Ó di dandan, ó wà. Now, when it comes, then at this time again, you will notice that rain comes as so much, volume than what we experienced in the past. Kí ló dé fà? There is this global warming. Tó ti jẹ́ pé gbogbo tó yẹ kó cover ojú òfurufú wa tó protect the ultraviolet ray kó máa wá sísàlẹ̀ wọn ti ń bàjẹ́. Activities wa náà ló ń bàjẹ́ tó jẹ́ àfọwọ́fà tiwa climate change máa ń fà. Nígbà míì àwọn fúnra wa to create reservoir and pè ní dams. When we have a dam, over the years tí a tọ́jú ẹ̀, if the dam collapse, ṣe ń gbọ́?
Yes.
If it collapse, there is going to be a serious flooding. Ayé tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Maiduguri ní ibi ọdún kan sẹ́yìn, àwọn èèyàn tó sọnù ń bẹ̀ wọ́n á lé ní igba. Kí ló dẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé wọ́n ti ń lo omi tó wà nínú reservoir yẹn, wọ́n gbogbo ẹ̀ tí wọ́n tọ́jú structure rẹ̀ gangan fúnra ẹ̀ tó wó omi yẹn, and it collapsed, it failed, and it swept the whole community, the whole city was submerged in water. So gbogbo àwọn kan tó ń fa the flood máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ní. It can be our own man-made tó jẹ́ pé àfọwọ́fà ara wa. Àfọwọ́fà wa in the sense that wọ́n ní ẹ̀kan òjò ló máa ń di àgbàrá. Tẹ̀gbọ́n mi. Ilé wa wáyé pé a ti ń tọ́jú bá ṣe ń kíkó omi wa kó ṣàn kó má ní ìdènà. Ẹ rí i pé wọ́n tọ́jú bá ti ń ṣe ojú báyìí gbúrúgbúrú àti rí àwọn èèyàn wọ́n ti kó ẹrù kó oríṣiríṣi ó di inú gọ́tà. Ibo ló ń lọ wọ́n ti ẹ̀rọ inú yẹn bó ṣe ń kó lọ yẹn ó máa dí ojú ọ̀nà tó yẹ kó omi gbà omi abẹ́rẹ́ sí ń ja ilé onílé àwọn tó bá wà ń sàlẹ̀ ló máa jìyà ẹ̀ so irú yẹn àfọwọ́fà náà ni tó jẹ́ kí flood kó máa ṣe.
Ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan nígbà tí ẹ ń ṣe àlàyé ẹni òjò ó ń pọ̀ sí ẹni tó wá wò pé kí ló fà á tójò fi ń pọ̀ sí ẹni àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kó dá omi dúró lókè lọ́hùn ẹni àti ìbàjẹ́ kí ni àwọn tó yẹ kó dá omi dúró kí la ṣe bàjẹ́ nígbà tó yẹ kó ọ̀run ló wà ọ̀run ló ṣe bàjẹ́
ọ̀run ló wà ojú ọ̀run ló wà ṣùgbọ́n àwọn táwọn
láyé bàjẹ́ yẹn
ṣùgbọ́n àwọn táwọn
kílẹ̀ rò pé a lè ṣe sí.
yẹ sígbà táwọn ní ayé nínú ilé wa à ń lo fridge à ń lo freezer à ń lo gbogbo ilé ló ní àwọn gases kan tó ń jáde tó ń gòkè èmi gbé mọ́tò tèmi lọ wọ́n gbé tiẹ̀ lọ gbogbo ilé ló ní carbon dioxide and every toxic gases tó ń lọ sókè gbogbo yẹn ló ń destroy àwọn layers yẹn tó jẹ́ kí ultraviolet rays kó wá pọ̀ tó jẹ́ kí ilẹ̀ ó wá gbóná gan bó dẹ̀ ṣe ń gbóná ló mẹ́ẹ̀tì omi yẹn tó ń wá sílẹ̀. ní tá a wá lè ṣe ni pé wọ́n ti ń gbìyànjú ẹ rí i pé àwọn kátà ń lò bíi fíríjì bíi freezer in our homes wọ́n ń ṣe tó ń emit those gases tí ò dáa yẹn wọ́n ti ń replace ìyẹn tó ń akúnjẹ́ kó reduce. Then our own activities, for instance, the government is trying to make sure that these gases that is coming out from automobiles, àwọn mọ́tò wa truck ńlá ni they are reduced. Ẹ̀rí pé nígbà kan rí wọ́n á gbé nǹkan tó fi mẹ́yọ̀ síta tẹ́yìn bá ń lọ gas tó tẹ̀ jáde báwo tí ó ní ìwọ̀n tó lè ṣe jàmbá tàbí tí ò lè ṣe wọ́n ṣe wọ̀nyẹn gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ń ṣe and àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn. For some time there, though I have not noticed it recently, but I know sometimes they were doing it and it's very good. That will tell them this kind of vehicle, please go and do this so that you don't emit dangerous gases into the atmosphere.
Okay, let's look at the drinking water. What are the major risks that flooding poses to water supply systems, and drinking water safety in Nigeria?
Yes, I'm happy you raised that question. Water is so important to our living.
Yes.
As you are sitting here, your body composition is over 70% is water.
Yes.
We can't live without water. And flooding is a dangerous thing that contributes serious problem into our wells. Even deep wells. Kànga wa ta ní sílé tó jẹ́ kànga àti òjì púpọ̀ tá a ń lò. When flood comes, àwọn ìdọ̀tí táwọn èèyàn ti kó jọ, all those waste that contributes problems, wọ́n máa kò sí bí ó ṣe ní omi flood yẹn will cover all these wells and flow into it. As it's flowing into it, it's contaminating that water. after the decontamination, you know, at the end, the people don't take cognizance. So the party knowledge, they start taking this water. You know the marshal, disease today, diarrhea today, all those problems, health challenges will now come. So fraud contributes, you know, serious problems to our wells. Even deep wells, let me put it. Even deep wells, even from Adeo, township. When flood comes, one fi àwọn casings kan sí tó jẹ́ pé tí ìjìnwádìí ó lè mí tó bá ti mí, this flows into it.
Yes.
And apart from that, you know, we tap this water from aquifer. One we aquifer, that is the formation under the ground that you know allows water to come in and store water. And you go and punch that in the omitan. And when this flood comes, it contaminates also these aquifers, and that makes our deep wells even more, you know, prone to health challenges and problems.
So what can people do?
Well, like I said the other time, we need to be proactive. That's number one. Proactive in the sense that we are in the rainy season now. People should stop throwing trash and rubbish into the drainages. It's a dangerous thing. Government has provided avenues for you to dispose of, you know, your waste properly. Where àwọn areas kan wọ́n gbé wọ́n gba ilẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn lè máa wá kó ìdọ̀tí sí. Gbogbo èèyàn ló lè tún wúlò fún ìjọba. People are doing that. So people should stop throwing refuse and dangerous materials into their flood. That's number one.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ rẹ̀ kọ́ sọ yẹn, ẹ jẹ́ ká nù ún bẹ̀ dáadáa. Tí ẹ bá wo àwọn kọ̀ǹga tó wà lébà, ojú wọn ti yí padà.
Nǹkan tí iṣẹ́ tí flood náà ṣe nìyẹn. By the time
kí la wá lè ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí èèyàn tí àwa ò mọ kankan kì í ṣe onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ, kí la lè ṣe láti dá dúró.
By the time rain comes, normally the water table will rise.
Yes.
It will go up. Ẹ̀rí nígbà mi tẹ bá ń lọ láwọn kókó bò míì, ẹ̀rí pé ẹ̀tọ́ ìpomi ń ṣàn. Omi ti kúnlẹ̀, ó dẹ̀ ti ń wábi tó máa. Water will always find its level. Ó ti kún lókè, ó ti ń wábi tó máa gbà lọ. So bó ṣe ń kún yẹn náà ló ń kún sínú kànga tá à ń pọn yẹn. Èyí tó dẹ̀ ń kún pẹ̀lú ẹ̀, ó kó ìtí ò dá, ó kó pẹ̀lú ìtó dá, ó fẹ̀rẹ̀ sí contaminate omi wa. So it rains and we can't stop it. But we need to take care of whatever we make that water not drinkable, that will pollute our wells. That's our own approach.
Okay, as a former area manager of Benue-Wena River Basin, what role should River Basin authorities play in national emergency preparedness for flood-induced water contamination?
Thank you very much. Well, actually, there are other agencies that even are saddled with that responsibility, but the River Basin is doing a lot. But what they do normally in areas where they know that erosion is a serious problem there, they go there, identify the problems, and now bring in their teams of engineers to go and assess and design appropriate, you know, channel that will take off those erosion problems. Okay. And you know, this erosion is part of what contributes to the flooding we are talking about. But if it's not properly controlled, even at a community level, it will eventually bring problems. So the river basin is working in that area. And again, what they do now, because you know, planting trees and green agriculture also tail, you know, flooding. In the river beds, if you don't allow people to bring in their activities there, in those river channel, river beds, the floodplains, that you plant green things there, trees there, it will reduce the amount of, you know, flooding that will be coming there. The river basins are doing that.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ, omi ti yalé, ó ń kókó lọ, ó ń kó àwọn èèyàn lọ. Èmi kẹ̀dẹ̀rí mi ò lágbára mi ò rò. Kí ni ẹ rò pé ó yẹ kí àwọn ará ìlú gangan kí wọ́n ṣe kí omi má bàa yalé wọn? Kí ni ìjọba kí ló yẹ kó ṣe? Kí ni bàbá gbà mí mọ̀ wá lọ́wọ́?
Àwọn ará ìlú mo ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan, a ní iṣẹ́ láti ṣe. Àkọ́kọ́, gbogbo àwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n kọ́ ilé síbi tí ẹ̀rù jẹ̀jẹ̀ máa ń dé nígbà tí òjò bá ti ń rọ̀, kọ́kọ́ máa tẹ́tí, listen to what the meteorological, you know, agencies are talking about. Gbọ́ kọ̀tàn sọ, listen to the news. Ṣé omi máa pọ̀ lẹ́ni? Báwo ló di àṣepọ̀ tí kọ́kọ́ kóra wọn kúrò ń bẹ̀? ìyẹn àkọ́kọ́, that's your safety. Ìkejì ni pé they should go ní gbogbo ọ̀nà kọ́ má tiẹ̀ súnmọ́ ibi tí ó jẹ́ flood plains tó wà, kọ́ má kọ́lé síbẹ̀.
You know what you said now, ó wà very important. Ṣé mi pé àwọn kan ṣì wà bá ṣe wà tí wọ́n gbàgbọ́ nínú mẹ́sẹ̀gì tẹ̀ ń give pé a fetí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn onímẹ̀t. Wọ́n believe pé who are they? Wọ́n ṣọ náà. How will they know if it is true or not? So most of them don't even give heed. They don't care. They don't listen.
Ẹ̀mí ara wọn fi wé wo. Nǹkan tí àwọn èèyàn wa, àwọn olóyìnbó máa sọ pé wọ́n ní tí ẹ bá fẹ́ kí àwa aláwọ̀ dúdú ká mọ nǹkan tó lọ lágbàáyé, wọ́n ní kí ẹ lọ fi pamọ́ sínú ìwé. Àwọn èèyàn kì í ní kà, wọn ò ní rí. Bákan náà lọ̀rọ̀ ìròyìn, àwọn èèyàn máa ń believe pé tẹ́tí sí ìròyìn pé ó ń gba àkókò kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o. There are some information you have to listen to them a máa ṣe láǹfààní. Assuming I want to travel to Ìgbàrà Òkè, off Gbéyàmùdákù, we have a dam, multi-purpose, very big dam there. And government now says, odò tó rọ̀ lé ní lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta ó máa pọ̀, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá wà lórí ẹ̀ má lọ sí rí àyẹ̀wò. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ dáko tẹ́ ẹ̀ ń dáko ń bẹ̀, ẹ sì yẹ̀ bá, ṣe pé ìròyìn ló máa sọ fún wa. Táwọn èèyàn bá gbọ́, irú dáàmù yẹn tójò bá ti ń pọ̀ tó ń kún, it is appropriate for the agencies, the people involved, to release the water. Wọ́n á ṣí ilẹ̀. Tó lè ṣe sílẹ̀ yẹn, nǹkan tó máa bá jáde, kò sí nǹkan tó bá wà lójú ọ̀nà ẹ̀, ó máa kó kúrò ní. So irú àwọn yẹn kan bá tẹ́tí gbọ́ ìròyìn, wọ́n á mọ̀ pé èmi gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sí irú àwọn ibi bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ẹ̀yin báyìí onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ ni ẹ̀yin lẹ̀ ń ṣe dáàmù yìí. Kí ló dé ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan ní nǹkan yà? Nígbà tí ẹ gbé àgbékalẹ̀ kìíní, ṣé kò àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kó fi sí ni wọ́n fi sí ni? Àti wípé kí lẹ̀ ń sọ pé nígbà tó yẹ ká ṣàbójútó ẹ̀? Ṣé àwọn onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ ń sọ pé kíní ìtí tó bójútó?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ẹ ṣé ẹ rí nígbà tí àwọn engineer bá ti design gbogbo àwọn factors náà là ń fi sí. We look at what is the return period of the rains around here. Return period ni pé odò yìí bó ṣe pọ̀ ní ọdún 2011 for instance or 7, ó tún máa tó bí ọdún mẹ́wàá sí tó tún pọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n á ti project. Tó bá tẹ̀ máa pọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní ọdún mẹ́wàá sí yẹn, wọ́n á tún fi times 2 ẹ̀. So ìyẹn ló máa guide wọn láti mọ kí ni height of the dam, kí ni width tá fẹ́ lọ, kí ni capacity fẹ́ gbé, wọ́n á kọ́kọ́ ṣe yẹn. Tó bá wá ṣe yẹn tán, wọ́n provide pé tómi bá tẹ̀ wá kún o ju ibi táwọn lérò lọ, wọ́n á fi àyè lẹ̀, à ń pè ní freeboard. Àyè tán fi lẹ̀ yẹn ni pé between that gap àti síbi tí dam yẹn tọ̀pọ̀ ẹ̀ dé free kékeré yẹn. So tó bá ti ń débẹ̀ kò ní lè kọjá sí ibi tó jẹ́ freeboard yẹn. Wọ́n lè ti provide àyè, à ń pè ní spillway, tó jẹ́ pé tó bá tẹ̀ wá kún o natural omi yẹn a máa ṣẹ́ kúrò, a wá maintain that level. But ibi tó wá ti wá kọjá kàráǹgídá, mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan, iṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run kò sẹ́ni tó lè tú, kò sẹ́ni engineer tó lè tú. Ìgbà míì wọ́n lè design ẹ̀ pé òjò kùtẹ́ flood yóò lè kọjá ibi tí dáàmú dé, ṣùgbọ́n kó dédé wá a lè mú Ọlọ́run náà.
Ẹ̀wọ̀ ọdún yìí báyìí bó ṣe pọ̀ ó tó rọ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ wá padà sí ibi tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípa omi, what we take in, because it's a different thing when flood happens. It takes away houses, it takes away people. But even those that are not directly affected, what we drink, because I was shocked when you mentioned the fact that even our borehole at home, once there is flood, we are also at risk of different diseases. So do you think the days of pipe-borne water is still possible in Nigeria to curb drinking of polluted water?
Very possible.
How do we achieve this?
And that's the best way to go, and government is trying. You know what really happened is this. In the early 70s, you have pipe-borne water everywhere. But as the nation grows, population grows, over the level all the fair come. But those states, for instance, one way in June, I must credit the government. Cherry, like I said the other time, this or when a multi-purpose dam, and the government now sits down and says, and that is why they now from the French Development World Bank and all that, on MOU agreement pé omi rèé ọgbọ́n aláwọn èèyàn lẹ̀ we have the resources, we have the personnel ẹ bá wa wo owó káwa náà ṣe, and they agreed, and that's why the government is now working on bringing pipe-borne water to Akure city and about 6 other local governments within the state capital like Ondo North, Ondo West, or Akure South, Akure North, and some other níwọ̀n Ìlọrin tó ń ṣe pé so that this water can be made use of ìjọba ń ṣe yẹn. I'm sure very soon.
The river basin.
The river basin has done, the role of the river basin is to construct the dam. They have done their part, and they are even done it to make sure that the treatment plant, this treatment plant that will treat the water. But this dam does bring in raw water. It's not drinkable. They have provided, through the federal government, provided treatment plant, that can treat water about 6,000 liters in a day. Tó ti ṣe síbẹ̀ tó ti ready. Ó kíjọba kò tiẹ̀ wá mú kó máa da omi yẹn sí kó máa ṣe processes yẹn which this government is trying to bring up. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣe tó jẹ́ pé to the extent that it's now trying to make sure that about 500,000 households wọ́n á ní omi. When I say household, ilé tí aya ọmọ, that's a household that wọ́n á rí omi. Wọ́n ṣe mo dẹ̀ ń gbàdúrà fún Ọlọ́run kó ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ ká lè yanjú ilé kan ṣe in time. The facilities are there, the human resources are there. What is required is funding it, lay the pipes from that place through all the tanks, bring this water for people to drink, build reservoirs, because by the time you treat water, ó máa kọ́kọ́ lọ sínú reservoir kó tó di bí ògbẹ̀ sí ń pín, wọ́n pè ní distribution reservoir, àwọn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń pín fún. So it's a matter of building the reservoir, lay your pipes and connect to people. Ibi tó kù sí nìyẹn tí mo lè mọ̀ pé ìjọba ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́.
So it's safe to say that drilling of borehole and well is not the answer.
It's not the answer. It's not the answer. For instance, let me put it this way. I am aware that sometimes 1920, ìjọba dá owó tó pọ̀ sílùú Ìlọrin, wọ́n ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ boreholes. Kí ló dẹ̀ ṣe ń gbà yẹn ni pé àwọn boreholes wọ̀nyẹn, irú àdúgbò kan báyìí, wọ́n lè gbẹ́ bíi 3, wọ́n wá ṣe táǹkì ńlá sókè. I was part of it, so I know what I'm saying. And wọ́n ṣe sókè pé when this water now comes down, wọ́n á ṣe bí taps tá a ṣe láyé àtijọ́ yẹn sáwọn àdúgbò yẹn. It's in Ìlọrin as I speak with you. Wọ́n ṣe sáwọn àdúgbò yẹn. Just go there, open your tap. And the solar, by the time the water comes from the hole to that place, people now call going. But I got to Ìlọrin recently. Chairman, more than 70% of that facilities are down. That's why I said giving people boreholes is not actually because they will not maintain it. By the time government completes it, they feel it is their right. I mean, government should come back and build it. And government doesn't have provision for all that. So, and like I said, it's not prone to pollution. It's not prone to being contaminated by flood. I mean, it's prone to that. Affected, contaminated.
Thank you, sir. You are talking about government giving us tanks.
Yes.
Then the maintenance culture of those facilities. What is your advice on that? That is one. Number 2, water that changes colors. And I'm a layman. What do you think I can do for it not to bring a waterborne disease for me?
Let me start from where you started. You are talking about maintenance. If this government does this, what? Normally in those days when we have the pipe water, by the time government is putting in its budget, it will make provision for maintenance of it. And I'm sure by the time this plan they have for when I'm opposite, by the time the plan is concluded and that project is done, I am sure there will be provisions for maintenance. And that's not to say that our people should not be proactive, should not be sensitive to government facilities. The problem we have is that by the time government gives you this facility, you feel you are less concerned. Government should come back. But tiwa now, maintain. That's part of that maintenance issue. Then omi ní color. Ò sí nígbà tó dùn bá ti flood bá ti wà yìí, color omi á yàtọ̀. So especially tó jẹ́ surface water because it's bringing in a lot of sediments a lot of impurities, and our people were highly turbid. Over there were highly turbid. By the time you put it under microscope, they really oríṣiríṣi tó ti wà ńbẹ̀. So nígbà òjò flood ló máa ń fà orí bẹ́ẹ̀. And that is why the treatment of surface water is important, because by the time it passes through your filtration, you know, filter, it passes through your filtration, you put your alum, it coagulates, it settles to clean water tank. That's the process of treatment. Why they have the chlorine to kill, disinfect and all that, to kill all the impurities. Government, if it is surface through treatment, very perfectly are fine.
Okay.
But the funding of doing that, ló jẹ́ nǹkan tí at these days, tó jẹ́ nǹkan tí ọwọ́ ìjọba ò pé wọ́n dẹ̀ ń múra láti gbé wọ́n wá àwọn tí wọ́n lè jọ fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ láti ṣiṣẹ́ ni, which I'm sure they will do.
Funding is very key, because without money, nothing can be achieved. Let's start looking at some recommendations that we can make to prevent future flood. For example, between April and July 2025 in Ondo State, some proactive measures were taken, proactive mitigation efforts were taken, like dredging. How do you propose?
Thank you very much. That dredging is key, very important. And I give kudos to the government for doing that. Because it's not easy to combat that equipment. Very expensive, but they did it. That's one of the proactive measures. And for our own individuals, on the part of government too, the people should stop approving plans for areas that is prone to flooding. Areas that is a water plain area. They should stop approving plans for it. I don't know how they do it. Some people still approve and they get these buildings done there. There's always a setback between the river courses, the channels, to where you can even develop everything. To distance between that place to where you can have any activity, not even putting building. So that's management is very important. They should stop approving, building plans for people to build in dangerous areas. That's number one. Then number two, even eventually it is approved and given you, that one is not blind. When you know this place is going to be prone to flooding, you have to at least move away from there. So that's another one. Then number two, we should start planting trees, green vegetation around areas that we feel that can be flooded. If it's green vegetation, nǹkan tó máa jẹ́ kí green vegetation dára ní pé ó máa hold ilẹ̀, kò ní jẹ́ kí ilẹ̀ loose. I hold it like that. So I grip, very good. I grip. So by the time that flood is coming, kò ní jẹ́ kó wash away to the extent tó bá fi pa àwọn èèyàn lára. The government should start planting vegetation, around those areas. That's that. Then again, our own too, individual homes. Like I said the other time, we need to stop dumping levels and waste into our drainages. It's not good in any way. It's not good. The government has provided avenues, spaces for people to dump their waste. They're not far away. Even those that are collecting this are not coming. Gather these things and go and drop it there.
I believe one of the reasons why this continues is because there is no penalty. I think government should have to do more in making sure that anybody caught goes to face the music.
That's an area that government has to really look into.
Yes.
There's no penalty. There are laws anyway, but who is enforcing the law? Enforcement is very important.
Ó dá onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ wa láyé òde òní tẹ́ ẹ bá rí àwọn òpó ojú ọ̀nà tí wọ́n ṣe fún àgbàrá ní kágbàrá máa bá mi ó ń tẹ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n láyé àtijọ́ ó dúró báyìí. Kí ni ìyàtọ̀ méjèèjì? Àti wípé tẹ́ ẹ bá wá wò láyé òde òní gẹ́gẹ́ bí mi tí mò ń ṣe onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ tí yẹ̀pẹ̀ bá ti kó sí eléyìí tó tẹ́wọ́ báyìí máa ń tètè fàyè gba kí ló fà á tẹ́ ẹ túrò pé kò yẹ kó máa tẹ́wọ́ ni láti ṣe lè tutù.
Àtọ́kùn kò sí tí òun kó yẹ̀pẹ̀ jẹ àti méjèèjì. Nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé eléyìí tó jẹ́ rectangular yẹn ẹ̀rí bó ṣe báyìí capacity ẹ̀ tó ìtó fẹ̀ ẹ̀rí pé nísàlẹ̀ ó ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ olókè ẹ̀ ó fẹ̀ ó kéré nísàlẹ̀ then tí flood yẹn bá wọ̀ tó àgbàrá yẹn bá ń ṣàn lọ ṣe kó ní pressure bó ṣe fẹ̀ yẹn á jẹ́ kí pressure kó reduce á dissipate energy ìyẹn ni a fẹ́ design fún those trapezoidal channels, so it will dissipate the energy. It will not decompress the compression when it's confined, you know, you have it's confined. Ó máa jẹ́ kí pressure yẹn build up. But when it's at it or wallet, so pressure will reduce immediately. Then the issue of refuse dumping, I mean, siltation la máa ń pè before time, that's where the maintenance portion comes in. Láyé ìgbà yẹn a máa rí PWD ọmọ pẹ́ẹ́pẹ́ tó jẹ́ work PWD ẹ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ìyẹn ò sí mọ́. Gbogbo àwọn kan bẹ̀ yẹn ló yẹ kó wà. Tọ́lọ́ bá ràn ìjọba lọ́wọ́ tó dá padà. Láṣẹ àṣẹ àwọn tó ń clean ojú pópó lójoojúmọ́. Irú àwọn yẹn náà, irú àwọn drainages àwọn yẹn tó jẹ́ ẹ̀ ti àárín ìgboro. Kò sí bí activities ṣe máa wà tí nǹkan ò ní drop sí. Tó ń bá rí àwọn tó ń bá wa kù, tó ń clean ẹ̀, tó dẹ̀ ń ṣan ebe tiẹ̀, tó ń dẹ̀ kíkọ́ drop sí, it will help. So government.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ kí lẹ rò pé kíní yẹn ṣe yẹ kó jòjò tí omi ò nílé mú gùn lọ kó bá ní níta.
Kò sí design ti engineer wọn design láti fi factor pé tómi bá tẹ̀ pọ̀ yẹ kó gbà tán mo sọ náà lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Jíjìn tó yẹ depend lé irú omi kí ni volume omi tó fẹ́ contribute sí bí. If there is a catchment area, for instance, irú Adéṣìdá road by wọ́n tó di pé àgbèrè àwọn aṣẹ àwọn ṣálẹ̀sì wọ́n á ti wo what is the total rainfall coming into this catchment. What is the volume of water that may be at a particular time? Catchment ẹni pé ṣe é pé is a valley ní gbogbo omi tó ń gbà omi tó ń bọ̀ ní òkúra ọ̀dọ̀ sí valley yẹn we now compute and get the total volume. Ìyẹn là á fi size kí ni adequate size of a channel tá a gbé lẹ̀ tá a bá omi so gbogbo design yẹn máa ń wà nílẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n when the flash flood comes like I said the other time when flash flood comes kò sẹ́ni tó lè dá dúró is natural so ó lè ṣe é ṣe nígbà yẹn kó kọjá ojú ẹ̀ bọ́ kí ṣe gbogbo gbà and design it to make sure ó adequately contain water that is coming into that catchment.
Ṣáyẹn kó lórí pẹ́ tó lọ bò mí ẹ̀rọ kan wà láyé òde òní láti sọ pé ọ̀la o òjò rọ̀ ọ̀túnla o àrá ò sàn kí ni a lè fi ṣe ẹ̀yin onímọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ tí ó lè wọlé sí ọpọlọ àwa èèyàn báyìí.
Àwa ni ò fiyèsí láyé àtijọ́ nígbà táwa.
àti pé sójú òótọ́ gan.
Nígbà táwọn ń dàgbà mo fẹ́ sọ ilé ẹ rí i pé ní school ta lọ primary school wa ẹ rí i pé wọ́n fi àwọn meteorological station language àwọn àmbẹ̀ sunshine measurement àwọn àmbẹ̀ ṣé ẹ̀rọ pọ́pọ̀ dédé fi síbẹ̀ language yẹn á sọ fún wa nínú ọdún yìí o iye òjò tó ti rọ̀ ní nínú oṣù báyìí iye òjò tó ti rọ̀ ní so àwọn èèyàn ń mọ̀ yẹn ṣáàbùtà wa ń ṣe tá a fiyèsí tá a sọ pé dandan padà means we are deceiving ourselves we know people in charge of these things do it and these days the technology has improved to the extent that there is automatic measurement that because the rain that falls the sunshine that we have and every of these details so they automatically they need that love at the region normally to read the computer we now bring it to the computer and calculate what is the volume when are we expecting this kind of volume gbogbo ẹ̀ náà sọ and thank God every day the NIME people will tell you that's why I said the information is very important which are people don't care about they don't listen they will tell you tomorrow in Akure city be expecting rain from this hour from this hour in the morning so taba ń gbọ́ yẹn àwọn tó mọ̀ pé kíní ìṣeṣe kó àfẹ́tò abófẹ́ràn ìrìn àjò torí pé ó ṣeéṣe kí fraud gbọ̀nà wá tètè jókòó sílé ẹ̀ that's why people should listen it's not lie ó dẹ̀ correct perfectly ibi Ìbàdàn flood disaster tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nígbà yẹn rí pé tó bá jẹ́ pé irú yẹn wà táwọn yẹn ti gbọ́ kò ní pa àwọn yẹn lára tó yẹn pa àwọn yẹn jọ.
As an engineer and not just an engineer a former chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Akure for that matter. Do you think the NSA should embark on sensitization campaign to assist the government to converse against this flooding?
NSA is doing it perfectly well. Periodically, like when I was on seat as chairman, we have technical presentations that would say this situation in terms of flooding, power, even road infrastructure. But discuss, I bring in experts, discuss about it. At the end of those, gathering, conferences or technical sessions, we draw
communicate.
God bless you, sir. We communicate, and this community will pull them together. Go and see and we need position paper. Position paper of NSC. Nǹkan báyìí ìjọba ibi tó yẹ ká ṣe sí ni NSC ṣe gbogbo wọn. That position paper is presented to the government periodically. I don't know, you know, government too should take some of these professional bodies seriously.
I wanted to ask, how well are they integrated professional bodies?
That's the problem. At the local level, we do that. Even at the national level, we do that. And we collect these things in a position paper and present to government. And most of the times, relevant, you know, government agents, officials are in this conference, are in these gatherings. So it is now for them to go back and sit down. What these people is talking about is very important. Let us do this. But it's like maybe the synergy.
So during your discussion, you talk about enforcement.
Yes.
Now you have there's a position paper.
Yes.
Coming out from NX.
Yes.
Did NSC press and make sure there is
something is done on it?
Yes.
Well, báwo ni Yorùbá ṣe máa ń sọ ọmọ tó bá ṣí pálọ̀ nìyá àdúgbò? Yes, if we at our level we have done all that, tí ó lè rí pé kàn fi sínú fáìlì kan tí wọ́n ò lò, kò sí ìlà àlè fún fún ìjọba lọ́rùn, ìjọba lágbára náà. And the funny aspect of it, most of our members, to the engineers, they are working with these people. Èmi fi pé there should be a forum too, that government, you know, engineers, engineers that are working in government, have a forum to make sure some of these things are worked on.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ezekiel OLORUNTOLA, former area manager, Benin Owena River Basin Authority. Thanks for sharing your insight with us and educating the people on what they need to do in mitigating against flood.
Not only the people, even the government.
Yes, I mean, they need to work together.
They need to
synergy.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be back for another section of the program.